what is your role in the Kogelberg Biosphere Reserve?
Well, I'm now a director on the board, and I was given a responsibility for communication and marketing, but I'm actually from a local government background, so that was what I thought I would bring into the organization, awareness of governance and so on. But the major need at this stage is for communication and for marketing. So I'm now involved in producing an electronic newsletter and doing the press releases so often and covering news events in the area and so on.
Okay. And but are you from that area, or how did you get involved in?
Yeah, I'm living in Betty's Bay, and already for 20 years. And as a municipal, I was first a municipal official at the Kleinmond municipality, and that's when this whole process started to get the Kogelberg declared as a Biosphere Reserve recognized by UNESCO. So that was the very first attempt to do something like that. And it is actually remarkable that those people achieved it because I think they had no support from government structures or political support or whatever, and they got it up to UNESCO in Paris, where they got the approval. And then in 1998, I was there when the minister at that time, Malimusa, opened the reserve or have it declared. And then at that stage, it was sort of a loose collaboration between different departments and municipalities working together to promote the ideals of the Man and Biosphere program. But then it slowly died down, and at a certain stage we realized, okay, we are going to lose this because there's no interest left anymore. So we got some expert advice or leadership from Professor Fanie, and we went through a whole process, and then we established the Kogelberg Biosphere Reserve Company, and so to get the governance level back. But the mayor of the Overstrand municipality, the Kleinmond municipality, got absorbed into Overstrand municipality, but it was the same mayor that went along, Willie Smits, and he was chairperson of the Kogelberg Biosphere Reserve Company also, and I think through his assistance, a lot of impetus was given to this organization to grow. And
why? I mean, what was the incentive to have it as a biosphere? Why is it important?
Okay, the reason was that there was a dam. Yes, a major dam planned for the Palmite River, and it would have disastrous ecological consequences. And I think all those people who realized what was going to happen got together, and they actually formed an organization called Kubaya. I think the Kogelberg Biosphere organization, and they got funding together, and they launched the application at UNESCO and so on. And then later on, about 2 years ago, this organization was fully drawn into the KBRC.
And I mean, the incentive for having the biosphere there, you say that dam would have had immense ecological damage. What is so special about the ecology of the Kogelberg area?
Yeah, well, okay, it is. You've got fynbos in that area, the Cape Floral Kingdom, and there are about 1,600 different species in that small area of about 100,000 hectares. And many of them are only found there. So they are endemic to the area. And the emblem of the Kogelberg Biosphere Reserve is the marsh rose, which you only find in that area. And so that's the sort of thing that we try to preserve, you know. So initially the emphasis was on conservation, and we try to, let me rather say, not us, but the organization tried to stop development. But then later on we realized that development, sustainable development, is part and parcel of a biosphere reserve's function. And now we are going full ahead to get projects going in the area, especially to among the poorest of the poor communities, to let also them realize the importance of living in a biosphere reserve, and that it can be of value to them. And there are projects as small as like just picking up pine cones for fires and packing them and marketing them under the banner of the Kogelberg Biosphere Reserve, you know. And also the recycling of glass, bottle craft is being promoted. And just another sort of awareness that we do there is what they call swap shops, children collecting rubble and things that are being thrown away in black bags, and they bring it to a place, and then they get some sort of reward for that. And eventually they can buy from that own shop, they can buy stuff like toothpaste and school shoes and pens and things that are handy for them and needful.
So are those the main projects being run by the Biosphere Reserve itself, or are they outsourced, or how does that work?
Yeah, okay, we've got a different approach than most of the other Biosphere Reserves. So we don't drive major projects like, for example, on the West Coast. We encourage organizations like municipalities and Cape Nature and so on to do their own projects to enhance the principle of man and the biosphere. So we've got only one permanent employee, and that is the coordinating officer sitting in an office in Kleinmond. So that's all. But a lot is happening in the area without us being directly involved. But
who is that?
The officer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is Chantel Esterhuizen. And Hannah, that you've met here, is now she's going on maternity leave, Chantel, and Hannah is going to take her place for 6 months.
Okay. And then what does Joe Kearney do then? Because we've been speaking to him.
Okay, Joe Kearney is one of our directors, and he's driving these socio-economic projects that I've told you about.
Okay, but the projects themselves are done by other people?
Except those socio-economic projects. But for example, the Cape Nature is developing tourism accommodation in the area, in a new office block. We've also got Sandby in that area. The Botanical Garden, Harold Porter, they've got things going to on projects and so on. That is part of, for example, Sandby is taking a flower display now to the Royal Chelsea show in England, and the theme is going to be the Kogelberg Biosphere Reserve. So in that way, we are also being promoted, and awareness is being created, and so on.
And so why you guys at that show?
For some other reason, they decided this year's theme will be the Kogelberg Biosphere Reserve.
Why do you think they decided that?
Well, maybe there's a lot of awareness about our Biosphere Reserve lately. Last year we were fortunate enough to be the subject of a special coin launched by the SA Mint, and it's going to be a series of coins over 8 years, and focusing on biosphere reserves, and we are now the first one. we were the first one to be sort of celebrated in that way. So I think people became aware of the Kogelberg Biosphere Reserve. But I also am involved in communication and a newsletter that we've picked up, and I think it's also contributing in some other way. I just want to tell you about two more projects, higher level projects. One is the Stony Point penguin colony, where they, with the help of the Department of Tourism, facilities were developed there to help also a poor community of Betty's Bay, the Mooi Uitzicht community. They've got a restaurant there, and the whole setup is being now run by Cape Nature, and they look after the African penguin, which is highly endangered. There are only about 18,000 breeding pairs left, and 1,000 of them are at Stony Point. And so that's a very important thing that we don't do directly, but our partners are involved, and so we've also got a finger in the pie there. And then another thing is sustainable fishing. The Kleinmond community has got a large number of, you can say, people depending on fishing for their livelihood. And WWF moved in with this project, and they're helping them to form cooperatives, and they are looking for markets for the fish that they catch, and just to ensure that they get a better life, and that exploitation is being prevented. So that's the kind of projects that we are involved with on a higher level. But on the lower level, the Joe Kearney projects that we've spoken about are very important to create awareness. We also involved the community through regular forum meetings. We'll have a speaker or two speaking about biosphere matters, just to create awareness there. We arrange outings to facilities or places in the Kogelberg. We've taken them, for example, to an electricity generation plant near Gabou, which is hydroelectric, depending on the Steenbras Dam in that area. So maybe all those things help to create awareness and involvement on various levels. And that's why we're getting more and more opportunities.
How much relationship do you have with the Steenbras Dam itself? 'Cause that's quite a big project in here.
Yeah, the Steenbras Dam is, well, the City of Cape Town is one of our partners, and so we've been to the Steenbras Dam. We had meetings there with councillors and officials of the City of Cape Town, and we are planning a sort of a hiking trail through the Kogelberg area, which is perhaps even going to be something like the famous route in Spain. But that's longer term things. But that's another example of how we are working together. City of Cape Town at now the Steenbras Dam area also declared as a nature reserve, and it forms part of the Kogelberg nature reserve of the core area of the Kogelberg Biosphere Reserve.
Brilliant. And Fanie, tell me, do you enjoy working with the biosphere?
Yes.
Why?
No, because I lived there, and I grew up, I was there from the start, and I saw what happened to it and where it's going now. So I think it's a huge asset to that area and to the local municipality, which where I worked, Overstrand municipality, but there are also other municipalities involved, like the Theewaterskloof municipality, the Overberg district municipality, and what I've mentioned already, the City of Cape Town.
What work did you do with the municipality?
I was the communication manager at Overstrand Municipality.
And what do you think the main benefit that the Biosphere brings to those municipalities?
No, it's threefold, and the first thing is conservation of biodiversity. The second thing is it is a vehicle for sustainable development, economic development, and the third thing is it must create awareness for stuff like, especially about climate change and the impact that it will have on the municipality and the area.
Are you able in 30 seconds to define what a biosphere reserve is?
I always tell the people it's much more than a nature reserve. And I think there's the first bit of confusion that comes in. But a biosphere reserve is about preserving and developing your quality of life in a certain area.